I'm reading today from the New American Bible. The New American Bible, and I'm reading the book of Tobit, from the Book of Tobit, and I'm about to read Tobit chapter 1. Tobit chapter 1. This book tells the story of Tobit, son of Tobiah, son of Hananiah, son of Aduel, son of Gabriel, of the family of Asael, of the tribe of Naphtali, who during the reign of Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, was taken captive from Thisbe, which is south of Kadesh Naphtali, in upper Galilee, above and to the west of Asher, north of Fogel. I, Tobit, have walked all the days of my life on the paths of truth and righteousness. I performed many charitable works for my kinsmen and my people who had been departed with me to Nineveh in Assyria. When I lived as a young man in my own country, Israel, the entire tribe of my forefather Naphtali had broken away from the house of David and from Jerusalem. This city had been singled out of all Israel's tribes, so that they all might offer sacrifice in the place where the temple, God's dwelling, had been built and consecrated for all generations to come. All my kinsmen, like the rest of the tribes of my forefather Naphtali, used to offer sacrifice on all the mountains of Galilee, as well as to the young bull which Jeroboam, king of Israel, had made in Dan. I, for my part, would often make the pilgrimage alone to Jerusalem for the festivals, as is prescribed for all Israel by perpetual decree, bringing with me the first fruits of the fields and the firstling of the flock, together with a tenth of my income and the first shearing of the sheep. I would hasten to Jerusalem and present them to the priests, Aaron's sons, at the altar, to the Levites who were doing service in Jerusalem. I would give the tithe of grain, wine, olive oil, pomegranate, figs, and other fruits. And except for the sabbatical years, I used to give a second tithe in money, which each year I would go and disperse in Jerusalem. The third tithe I gave to orphans and widows and to converts who were living with the Israelites. Every third year I would bring them this offering, and we ate it in keeping with the decree of the Mosaic law and the commands of Deborah, the mother of my father Tobiah. For when my father died, he left me an orphan. When I reached manhood, I married Anna, a woman of our lineage. By her I had a son whom I named Tobiah. Now, after I had been departed to Nineveh, all my brothers and relatives ate the food of heathens, but I refrained from eating that kind of food because of this wholehearted service of God. The Most High granted me favor and status with Shalmaneser, so that I became purchasing agent for all his needs. Every now and then, until his death, I would go to Media to buy goods for him. I also deposited several pouches containing a great sum of money with my kinsman Gabriel, son of Gabri, who lived in Vegas in Media. But when Shalmaneser died, and his son Sennacherib succeeded him as king, the roads to Media became unsafe, so I could no longer go there. During Shalmaneser's reign, I performed many charitable works for my kinsmen and my people. I will give my bread to the hungry and my clothing to the naked, If I saw one of my people who had died and been thrown outside the walls of Nineveh, I would bury him. I also buried anyone whom Sennacherib slew when he returned as a fugitive from Judea during the days of judgment decree against him by the heavenly king because of the blasphemies he had uttered. In his rage, he killed many Israelites, but I used to take their bodies by stealth and bury them. So when Sennacherib looked for them, he could not find them. But a certain citizen of Nineveh informed the king that it was I who buried the dead. When I found out that the king knew all about me and wanted to put me to death, I went into hiding. Then in my fear I took to flight. Afterward, all my property was confiscated. I was left with nothing. All that I had was taken to the king's palace, except for my wife Anna and my son Tobiah. But less than 40 days later, the king was assassinated by two of his sons, who then escaped into the mountains of Ararat. His son, Esarhaddon, who succeeded him as king, placed Ahikar, my brother Ananiah's son, in charge of all the accounts of his kingdom, so that he took control over the entire administration. Then Ahikar interceded on my behalf, and I was able to return to Nineveh, for under Sennacherib, king of Assyria, Ahikar had been chief cupbearer, keeper of the seal, administrator, and treasurer, and Esarhaddon reappointed him. He was a close relative, in fact, my nephew. This ends chapter 1 of Tobit. I'm going to go now to chapter 2. I think I have more time. So, Tobit chapter 2. Thus unto King Esarhaddon I returned to my home, and my wife Anna and my son Tobiah were restored to me. Then on our festival of the Pentecost, the feast of the weeks, a fine dinner was prepared for me, and I reclined to eat. The table was set for me, and when many different dishes were placed before me, I said to my son Tobiah, my son, go out and try to find a poor man from among our kinsmen, exiled here in Nineveh. If he is a sincere worshipper of God, bring him back with you, so that he can share this meal with me. Indeed, son, I shall wait for you to come back. Tobiah went out to look for some poor kinsman of ours. When he returned, he exclaimed, Father! I said to him, What is it, son? He answered, Father, one of our people has been murdered. His body lies in the marketplace where he was just strangled. I sprang to my feet, leaving the dinner untouched, and I carried the dead man from the street and put him in one of the rooms so that I might bury him after sunset. Returning to my own quarters, I washed myself and ate my food in sorrow. I was reminded of the oracle pronounced by the prophet Amos against Bethel. Your festivals shall be turned into mournings, and all your songs into lamentations. And I wept. Then at the sunset I went out, dug a grave, and buried him. The neighbors mocked me, saying to one another, Will this man never learn? Once before he was hunted down for execution because of this very thing. Yet now he has escaped. Here he is again, burying the dead. That same night I bathed I went to sleep next to the wall of my country yard. Because of the heat, I left my face uncovered. I did not know there were birds perched on the wall above me until their warm droppings settled in my eyes, causing cataracts. I went to see some doctors for a cure, but the more they anointed my eyes with various salves, the worse the cataracts became, until I could see no more. For 4 years I was deprived of eyesight, and all my kinsmen were grieved at my conditions. A hiker, however, took care of me for 2 years until he left for Emaus. At that time, my wife Anna worked for hire at a weaving cloth. At a weaving cloth, yes, the kind of work women do. When she went back the goods to their, when she sent back the goods to their owners, they would pay her. Later in winter, she finished the cloth and sent it back to the owners. They paid her the full salary and also gave her a young goat for the table. On entering my house, the goat began to bleat. I called to my wife and said, "Where did this goat come from? Perhaps it was stolen. Give it back to its owner. We have no right to eat stolen food." But she said to me, "It was given to me as a bonus over and above my wages." Yet I would not believe her and told her to give it back to its owners. I became very angry with her after this. So she retorted, "Where are your charitable deeds now? Where are your virtuous acts? See, your true character is finally showing itself." That was the end of chapter 2. That's the end of chapter 2. So I read from chapter 1 of Tobit and chapter 2. Next time I shall read from chapter 3. Join me next time for chapter 3. If you like this story, if you like the way I read it, which I'm sure I paused because of some of the words were kind of meshed together in a different way. I couldn't read it as well as I wanted to. Give me one. If you like the story, give me one thumbs up. If you don't, give me one thumbs down. Share this story with your friends. If you want to subscribe to the Wise Owl too, hey, I'll be happy. Okay. This will be the last time I'll be saying this. To give me a thumbs up, to share it and subscribe, because this will make the story seem less wonderful if I keep advertising this. So this will be the last time I'll be advertising the Wise Owl too. And I will just end the story. So I think it's a beautiful story so far. I'm sorry if I read a little slower. Some of the names were kind of hard to pronounce, and some of the situations here. So I'll do better next time. Any comments you have, share them with me, okay? However, this will be the last time I'll be advertising the Wise Owl 2, subscribing, sharing, and stuff like that as I read. I don't think that'd be good for the atmosphere of the story. Okay, have a nice day, and God bless you all. Thank you.